Tonight I'm going to talk about rainbows. Originally it was going to be rainbows and unicorns. I wasn't sure if I could fit that all in, and I'm glad I didn't choose to include unicorns. Plus I'm afraid I might have lost some of my audience if I did. At some point in our lives we have all been fascinated by rainbows. How they form, how beautiful they are, how it is that you can never touch one. We have probably all grown up with the whole leprechaun, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, coming back from Celtic/Norse mythology. We also see, Bryan, throw this on so you can hear me, I guess.
I have to start over.
Oh, no. No, we're not starting over. We're just going to keep rolling. When you're a young kid, however, when you're not just staring and wondering at one in fascination, first thing that would come to my mind is, that might be something you'd find on a girl's backpack or a shirt. You know, it's kind of a girly, wimpy sort of thing. In modern culture, we see it in the LGBT community. And throughout other religions, we see that most oftentimes rainbows are considered in some sort of positive light, whether it's a weapon that a little G god is wearing, or it represents the elements in another religion. It has many different meanings to many different cultures and other religions. Before we get into Christianity, I want to discuss briefly the science of it, because the science is rather fascinating. And if you think about how intricately designed rainbows are, I beg your pardon, Bryan?
You turn it on.
Start over.
Got 5 more minutes. Anyone know what the colors of the rainbow are?
Roy the red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet.
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. I'm glad you put the indigo in there. That oftentimes is missed. And scientists still debate because it's hard to distinguish indigo between blue. But it is. It's a color. It's there. Good job. I'm proud of you. She's got her science down. What it comes down to, the most familiar rainbows that we see are caused by sunlight that are going through droplets of water at a 42-degree angle. Typically, they are, in essence, optical illusions because no one ever sees the same rainbow. If you're standing over there versus over here, you're actually seeing a different rainbow because it depends on where you stand with relation to the sun and which water droplets the light is passing through. And I'll give you a few fun facts as I rush through it. By the way, rainbows are actually full circles. Did anyone know that? If you're in an airplane and you see a rainbow from the sky, you may actually see the full circle of it. I saw that once. And there are other types of bows, if you will. You can see rainbows in fog. Have you ever seen a moonbow? Anyone seen a moonbow? They're much paler, lighter colored. They're harder to see, but they exist. I have seen them. So, with 4 minutes remaining, let's talk about rainbows in the Bible. Rainbows in the Bible. I'm not going to read through every verse, so go ahead and memorize or write them down. But the first time we see the concept of a rainbow, it comes from Genesis chapter 9. Do we remember God's covenant with Noah? Okay. It represents, and I will read very briefly, and it shall come to pass, I'm in verse 14 of chapter 9, and it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the sky that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Basically, it's a promise of future hope that the earth would not be destroyed by flood again. So that's the first case that we see it in. If you were to go to Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 28, this is Ezekiel's vision, and it speaks to the likeness of the glory of the Lord. It's interesting because rainbows are caused by light. You have that prismatic effect, whether it's reflection or refraction through the water droplets. It's a result of light. And God is light, is he not? But it also represents his glory. And there's actually further meaning if you think about Ezekiel, because they were in the Jewish people were in Babylonian captivity at the time. God was always associated with the temple. He's left the temple. He's with them in Babylon now. More hope. There's only a few times that rainbows occur in the Bible. Those are the only occurrences in the Old Testament. If you're in the NASB, you'll see rainbow 7 times in it entirely. That's a total of 7 times in the Bible. If you're in maybe American Standard or King James, I think English Standard even too, you'll see it only twice. And so when you look, when I read in the King James, it says the bow in the sky. The root word comes from like a bow, like an arching bow, but obviously by context it's speaking about a rainbow. So some versions will include the word rainbow. But if you're reading an older version such as the King James, it just says bow, B-O-W. Where it actually does say rainbow is in the New Testament. We see it only twice. Revelation chapter 4, verse 3. And he was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was, a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne in sight like unto an emerald. If you were to go to 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 16, go ahead and write that. I'm not going to read it. You'll see that God dwells in the light which no man can approach unto, who no man has seen nor can see. Another reference to God as light. Furthermore, we see that God is described here in verse 3 of Revelation chapter 4 as the brilliance of light, and that rainbow is around the throne, another symbol of power, of glory. The last occurrence we see of the word rainbow is Revelation chapter 10, verse 1. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. Another association with that symbology of power. We also see that cloud and fire, and that may be an allusion to Exodus chapter 13 and 14, where the cloud and pillar of fire that guided the Israelites through the wilderness by day and night. I did take a slightly closer look at the meaning of rainbows to other religions and cultures, and they do mean many different things to many different people. However, my conclusion is that nowhere does the rainbow have a more positive or significant meaning than in the Bible, and as it should be for us as Christians. God defined what a rainbow should be. Let us not marginalize. Let us not desecrate that. Let us hold true and fast to the original intended meaning of what God meant for rainbows. That is all I have for tonight. I went 1 minute over. Thank you for your attention. If anyone has any concerns, any prayers that are needed, any help that we can provide, I hope that you will find hope for the future, hope for the present, through God's intended use for rainbows. Please come forward as we stand and sing.